Hello everyone. In today's video, we are going to talk about top 20 most asked core Java interview questions and answers. Myself Mohammed Zubair, and this channel is all about showing you how to become a highly paid IT pro really fast. So without any further ado, let's get started. Number 1. Explain JDK, JRE and JVM. The JDK stands for Java Development Kit. It is a software development kit for the Java programming language. The JDK is a required component for building Java applications. The JDK contains the Java runtime environment, which is a software platform that allows Java application to run. The JDK also contains tools for developing the Java applications, including a Java compiler and a debugger. Now let's talk about JRE. While the JRE is a required component to run Java applications and applets, it provides libraries, Java virtual machine, and other component to run applet and applications that are written in the Java programming language. Now let's talk about JVM. While the Java virtual machine is an abstract computing machine that enables a computer to run Java programs, the JVM is a virtual environment for Java technology since it is the interpreter between Java bytecode and the underlying hardware. The JVM is a specification that has been implemented in many different ways. Number 2. What are constructors in Java? Well, a constructor in Java is a unique method that is used to create a new object. It is usually named after the class and it has the same name as the class itself. The constructor is automatically invoked when a class creates a new object. It is used to set up the object's initial state and it usually takes one or more arguments. There are two types of constructors. First one is default constructor. The default constructor is a constructor that does not have any parameters. If a class does not have a default constructor, the compiler would automatically create a default constructor. Second type is parameterized constructor. Well, parameterized constructor is a constructor that takes one or more arguments. These arguments can be either primitive data types or objects, and a parameterized constructor is declared by using the keyword parameterized. These parameters allow you to create a customized instance of the class. Number 3. Can you call a constructor of a class inside another constructor? Yes, we can call and use a constructor of another class inside another constructor. This is also called as constructors chaining. There are two ways that we can use to do constructor chaining. First one is within the same class. Well, for constructors in the same class, this keyword can be used. Then we have the super keyword. It is used to call the constructor from the base class. The constructor chaining follows the process of inheritance. The constructor of the subclass first calls the constructor of the superclass. Due to this, creating the subclass object starts with the initialization of the data members of the superclass, and the constructor chaining works similarly with any number of classes. Every constructor keeps calling the chain till the top of the chain. Number 4. Define wrapper classes in Java. Well, wrapper classes encapsulates the primitive data types that are used in Java programming language. The wrapper classes are defined inside the java.lang package. There are 8 different wrapper classes like int, long, float, double, char, boolean, byte, and short. The wrapper classes provide several methods that allows you to perform operations on the primitive data types. For example, the int class provides a parseInt, which is a method that allows you to convert a string into an int. The wrapper classes also provide several constructors that allows you to create instance of the classes. Number 5. What is an exception? Well, an exception is an event that occurs unexpectedly while a program is running. For example, if you try to open a file that doesn't exist, a file not found exception will be thrown. Java exceptions are the object known as the subclasses of the throwable class. Java will search the current stack for a matching exception when an exception is thrown. Java will execute the exceptions catch block if a matching exception is found. If no matching exception is found, Java will terminate the program. Number 6. What is the JIT compiler in Java? Well, Java Intermediate Language Compiler is a Java compiler that compiles the Java bytecode into machine code that can be run on a computer. The JIT compiler is a part of the Java runtime environment and is used to improve the performance of Java programs. The JIT compiler is used to compile Java programs when they are run for the first time and also when they are updated. Number 7. What is constructor chaining in Java? Well, a constructor chaining is a feature in Java that allows a class constructor to call another constructor of the same class. The constructor that is called the parent constructor, and the constructor that does the calling is called as child constructor. Number 8. What is a class loader in Java? Well, a class loader is a Java term for a module loader, and it is responsible for loading classes into the Java virtual machine. Class loaders can be nested, which means that a class loader can load a class defined in a class already loaded. A Java class loader can use either load classes from a local Java class file or a remote Java class file as well. Number 9. What is runtime polymorphism or dynamic method dispatch? While runtime polymorphism, also known as dynamic method dispatch, and it is a process by which a call to a given function is resolved at runtime. This contrasts with static polymorphism, which is resolved at compile time. Runtime polymorphism is often used in conjunction with inheritance, as it allows a function to be called on an instance of a parent class. Even if the function is defined in a child class, this is possible as the function is resolved at runtime, using the instance type as its parameter. Here, if you see here, we have an example. We have a class with the name of car, and in that we have a function or method as void run. In that we have a print statement, and then we are extending a class from our car class as Audi. And in that again we have a function that is void, and we have a print statement. And if you see in our main, we have the object of our car class as B, and then we are calling the function of run with the help of our object that was B. Number 10. Define the package in Java. Well, a Java package is composed of a collection of related Java classes and interfaces. A Java package is not a file, but a directory that contains one or more Java class files and any other files needed by those classes and interfaces. Java packages are a way of organizing your Java classes and interfaces into related groups. Number 11. Why is Java not completely object-oriented? Well, Java is not completely object-oriented because it has primitive data types that are not objects. For example, Java has int, double, and char data types that are not objects. Number 12. What are method overloading and method overriding? First of all, I'll talk about method overloading. Well, method overloading allows a programmer to create multiple methods with the same name but with different parameters. This can be very useful when a program needs to do different things depending on the information passed to a method. Let's have a look at an example. Here I have a class as adder, and in that I have a function or a method as static int add, and in that I have variables as int a, int b. And if you see, I am returning a plus b. Then I have another method with the same name, but now I have different data type. Earlier I was using int, now I have double, and I have double a, double b, and again I am returning my a plus b. And here if you see in my main, I am calling both of those functions, but if you see, I have different values. For the int, I have 11 and 11, and for my double type, I have 12.3 and 12.6. So this is how method overloading works. Now let's talk about method overriding. Well, method overriding is a process in which our subclass declares a method with the same name, return type, and parameter list as a method in a superclass, but with different implementation. The implementation in the subclass overrides the implementation in our superclass. So let's have an example and let's understand it better. Here I have a class with the name of car, and then I have a method which is void, and we have print statement. Then we are extending our class from our car class as class Audi, and again we have a method and we have a print statement. But if you see, into our main, we have an object of our car class, and with the help of that, we are calling our run function. So this is how it works, and this is the difference between method overloading and method overriding. Number 13. Can you override a private or static method in Java? In Java, we cannot override a private or static method. If you create a similar method with the same return type and same method arguments in a child class, it will hide the superclass method. This phenomena is known as method hiding. Just like that, you cannot override a private method in a subclass because it's not accessible there. Yes, you can have and create another private method with the same name in the child's class. Let's have a look at example to understand it better. Here I have a class with the name of class base. Then I have private static method as void display, and in that I have a print statement, and then I have another method that is public, and in that again I have a print statement, and then I have another class that is derived from my base class as class derived. In that I have a private method, and again I have my print statement, and again if you see, we have a public void print method, and again in that we have a print statement. And again we have a class as public class test, and in that we are calling our main. And in main we are creating the object as obj1 equals new drive. And then we are calling our display and our print method that we had declared earlier. Number 14. What is a constructor overloading in Java? While a constructor overloading in Java is the ability to create a new constructor for a class by using the same name as an existing constructor, but with different parameter lists. This allows you to create multiple constructors for a class, each with a specific set of parameters. Here if you see, here I have a class with the name of demo, and in that I have a method in which I have one parameter, and then I am assigning I equals k. Then I have another method which is public demo, and in that now I have two parameters. So if you see, we have a method with the same name, same data type, but now we have different number of parameters. This is how constructor overloading works. Number 15. Define late binding. Well, in Java, late binding is a process by which the compiler determines the actual type of an object at runtime. This is the contrast to early binding, which is a process by which the compiler determines the type of an object at compile time. Late binding is often used in situations where the compiler cannot determine the type of an object at compile time. Number 16. Give the briefing on the life cycle of a thread. Well, the life cycle of a thread includes 5 stages. First one is newborn state. then we have runnable state, then it gets to runnable state, and at number 4 we have blocked state, and the last state is dead state. Number 17. Explain the externalizable interface. Well, externalizable interface is a Java interface that can control the serialization and deserialization of an object. The externalizable interface includes two methods, write external and read external, that allows an object to control the serialization process. The write external method is used to write the object state to a stream, and the read external method is used to read the object state from a stream. Number 18. Can this and super keywords be used together? No, this and super keywords should only be used in the first statement in our class constructor. The following code will give you a brief idea. Here I have a class as public class base class, and in that I am having a function as base class, and in that I have my super and this keywords. Then I am calling my print statement, and in my main I have the object for my base class. And this is how it works, and this is how you can use your super and these keywords together. Number 19. What is session management in Java? While in Java, session management is known as the process of tracking a user's interaction with a web application over some time. This information is then used to keep track of the user's current session state, and Java provides built-in support for session management through the use of cookies. This is done by creating a session ID and storing it in a cookie. The session ID is then sent to the server with every request. The server can then use the ID to track the user's activity and maintain their state. Number 20. What are the memory allocations available in Java? Well, Java has 5 significant types of memory allocations: class memory, heap memory, stack memory, program counter memory, and the last one is native method stack memory. And that was all about the 20 questions that you can consider related to Java for your next interview. And that also brings us to the end of today's video. If you have loved watching this video, please leave a like, subscribe and press the bell icon. We'll get back to you in the next video. Till then, take care.